Without change, there is no innovation, creativity, or incentive for improvement. Those who initiate change will have a better opportunity to manage the change that is inevitable.
Good morning, everybody. I am Michael Jackson.
And I, Rosita Jacob.
On behalf of Vignana Jyothi Institute of Management, welcome you all to the 8th National Conference 2014. May I now request the Chief Guest, Dr. V.Rukmini, the keynote speaker, Brigadier Ganeshan, and our Director, Dr. Kamal Gosri, onto the dais, please. I request the dignitaries to inaugurate the conference with lighting of the lamp.
Kindly rise for the invocation song.
Mahaganapatim manasa smarami Mahaganapatim manasa smarami Mahaganapatim manasa Smarami Mahaganapatim manasa Smarami Vashishtavamavadevadivandita Mahaganapatim manasa Smarami Vashishtavamavadevadivandita Mahaganapatim Mahadevasutam Mahadevasutam Guru Guhanutam Mahadevasutam Guru Guhanutam Marakoti Prakasham Shantam Mahadevasutam Guru Guhanutam Marakoti Prakasham Shantam Mahakavya Natakadi Priyam Mahakavya Natakadi Priyam Mushika Vahana Modaka Priyam Mahakavya Natakadi Priyam Mushika Vahana Modaka Priyam Mahaganapatim manasa Smarami Vashishtavamavadevadivandita Mahaganapatim
May I now request the convener of this conference, Mr. Shishir Polisani, Professor, Israel, to introduce the theme.
Dignitaries on the dais and students, fellow faculty members. The architect of St. Paul's Cathedral, one of the most famous cathedrals of our times, Sir Christopher Wren, said this about his own work, and I quote, She requires monumentum circumstance. Means if you require to see a monument of my work, look around. And that is what we see about when we see, look around us. Incredible amount of work that is being done by restless individuals who cannot but question the status quo. Entrepreneurs by nature are restless, by nature are inquisitive, and by nature always questioning the status quo. They are not happy with the way things are, and hence they push themselves and hence the rest of the world forward by their power of imagination. 50 years ago, there was this ordinary truck driver, Michael McLean. As he was waiting for his truck to be unloaded and then loaded onto the boats to be taken over to another shore, he said there should be an easier way. And he came up with the container shipping process that reduced probably by 97% all transportation costs for all companies forever. These are the incredible contributions that we see, not just in terms of how we build businesses and money. We have done that. In the last 100 years, we've made more wealth, reduced more poverty, increased the lifespans around the world, and generally made lives better than the 100,000 years that preceded that. And all this because, again, of the restless spirit of an entrepreneur. And to that spirit is why this conference is dedicated. We have two very distinguished guests. They're not traditional entrepreneurs. They're not here to make money for themselves, build wealth. But by sacrificing their lives, they've enabled people to have better lives. Thank you very much, Dr. V.Rukmini Rao. This is the spirit that this conference will be dedicated to. And over the next 2 days, you'll be listening to incredible entrepreneurs telling you stories about how they became entrepreneurs. Some were forced in, some were by design, some did not know that they were entrepreneurs until somebody told them that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We now invite our director, Dr. Kamal Ghoshre, to give the welcome address. Dr. Kamal Ghoshre is an internationally renowned professor.
I'm a true entrepreneur because I'm restless, as she said. So, my dear chief guest, Dr. Rukmini Rao and Brigadier Ganeshan, my dear students, my fellow colleagues, very good morning to you all. My colleagues have chosen the topic promoting entrepreneurial ecosystem in India. Whether it is apt or not apt today for discussion is maybe you to decide, but we'll discuss and deliberate on it, and it is up to you to understand how important it is, how not important it is, unimportant it is for you to live with. I start like this, that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was in, maybe I just left college. And I spoke to people and I proceeded, I visited many plants and I gained some ideas. When I broke this news to my family, uh, they resisted and they said, "You cannot do business." Is it that I cannot do or I am not permitted? They said, "You are not permitted to do business because your father is not a businessman. And your father's father was also not a businessman. So it is a no-no for you." Right? So that means there is a class who can do business, who can become entrepreneur. You know, the sophisticated, the words are the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur means who starts, who takes the initiative to start a business. So I was given to understand that to become a businessman or to become an entrepreneur, you need to be in the family of the entrepreneurs. So, okay, nice. So of late I got one opportunity to interact with our company. The owner has a problem. The problem is there is no successor. There is no successor in the family. So who will own that business? Right? So he said, "Can you give me some idea?" So I'm not a businessman, so I'm not supposed to give idea. So with that understanding, I told, "Why didn't you?" I saw he showed me his balance sheets and the financial statements, and he said, "This is a true statement, not the statement which I declared." And I found that the financial position is very good, very sound. Then I said, "Why don't you approach your employees to own it?" He said, "How is it possible?" I said, "You find out. You make endeavor. You are an entrepreneur. Make endeavor that is anybody. Those who are in the good position, top position, or decision-making position in your company, are they willing?" Then after some times, he said that some 10, 12 senior people are willing. They asked me the question, "Where from will get the money to pay you?" They have to buy the company from that entrepreneur, from that owner, and they have to pay. I sat with them. The owner is asking for 12 crore to hand over the business to the employees. And there are as many as 10 to 12 managers who are willing. And they said they can contribute 1 lakh. So 12 lakhs they can accumulate maximum. So which means that only 1/10 of the buying price of the company they can accumulate. 90% they have to get from other sources. Will get. So they approached bank. Bank says, no, we can give you money for working capital, not the money for buying this company. Then that owner disclosed to me that he is not keeping good health. He is apprehensive. So he wants to transfer the company to somebody as fast as possible. Right? So he says, if my employees are not willing, then I have to go for bidding and I have to sell the company outside. He said, I thought it's a good idea that these people make my company grow and I'll be handing over the company to them. So I tried to find out whether these 12 people are really interested to become the entrepreneur. And I found they're enthusiastic about it. Their problem is money. they can accumulate maximum 12 lakhs, 1/10 of the purchase price. They know the business. They have grown this company. They're working there for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. Right? So what is the problem? They wanted to become, their problem is money. Right? Then I told that, why didn't you approach venture capitalists? Or why don't you approach some angel financiers? They approached and they said, look, actually we require a business which is very innovative, number one. I'm not disclosing the nature of the business, which is very innovative and something new, technologically very sound. I replied that the risk is very high if it is very innovative, yet the risk is low. They said still we do funding for the innovative products, we do funding for the innovative technology, and this is very old technology. In your language, is a cash cow kind of business. So we'll not fund the cash cow business. We'll fund star, where the future prospect is very high. Right? And approach the banks. The bank said, we generally do not fund for this kind of things, but how much properties the company has? Does it have 2 times, 3 times, 4 times of the fixed assets? It's not. Then I tried to find out how this owner valued 12 crore. And I found that he simply made a calculation that his yearly profit is 1 crore and he applied 12x. 12x means 12 multiplier. So 12 crore. And I said, your valuation is also not correct. So scale it down. Right? So how many types of problems you found? Expectation of the purchase price, sourcing of fund, doubting their competency by outsiders, the financiers. So all these things are coming in the way of transferring that company. That means there is a problem of sustainability once the owner exits. So what we need a system where in tandem the members in the system will act. Who are they? The financiers, the educational institutions, right? The government, the business families, the students, universities, everybody has to work in tandem. Then only this business can be transferred. So which implies that we need to have a very good ecosystem where living and non-living organisms are working in tandem for the good for the business. Now, the thing is that do we need small companies? Do we need the small businesses for the economic development? Right. There is one foundation called Kaufman Foundation. This is in Kansas. And they brought out a research. They're doing continuous research on this. Kaufman was basically an entrepreneur. And I went through their latest report. That report says there is a gamut. The gamut is that people think, or the governments think, that small businesses or entrepreneurship is very important for economic development. The governments are feeling, but their research suggests that unless there is economic development, you cannot promote entrepreneurship. So just the diametrically opposite observation. But everybody is of opinion that to promote entrepreneurship, you require a good entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship ecosystem in place. And again, to have a good entrepreneurial ecosystem, you need economic development. So it is a round, round, and round. So you cannot, which means you cannot ignore anything. You require entrepreneurship, you require entrepreneurial ecosystem, you require economic development, all should work in tandem. Nothing can be isolated. This is a chain. I would not say it is a vicious cycle, I would say it is a chain. It's a very active chain, when all the actors have to work positively towards economic development, towards entrepreneurial skill, entrepreneurship, everything. Now this ecosystem should work properly. Again, the further research shows that entrepreneurial education or entrepreneurship education, what is the impact on entrepreneurship? It was found that in some countries there is a negative correlation. Right? More the students in the entrepreneurship programs, lesser is the outcome of entrepreneurship. In some countries, many of the entrepreneurs have not learned entrepreneurship through education. They have learned through their family succession. Right. But the thing is, does it mean that the educational institutions should not promote entrepreneurial education, entrepreneurship education? Does it mean? It may not mean. Right. There's good number of schools teaching entrepreneurship are there in Israel, and very good number of entrepreneurs have been produced by these institutions. Whereas in the US, it is just the reverse. So those institutions who are teaching or imparting entrepreneurial education, they could not produce large number of entrepreneurs. And way back 40s, late 40s, after the closure of this World War II, this entrepreneurship started, or entrepreneurship took a new dimension. And a mechanism was followed, which is very interesting for me, because I am working on this kind of work, studying this kind of things for more than a decade. This is called leverage buyout or the management buyout. During the World War, lot of small businesses evolved because the government needs huge production of anything during the war. After the war stopped, the demand has fallen down. So these entrepreneurs were in need of hiving of the business, and there is no taker. Other businessmen are not willing to take their businesses. So they approached the employees. They said, you have grown this business, so I think you have the moral right to own this business. So they transferred the business to the employees. And they also helped in obtaining the finance. That is called management buyout. They are selling the company to the management. And entrepreneurship started from there. With that idea, I gave these suggestions to that gentleman who wanted to exit his business. So everywhere you require entrepreneurial skill. So entrepreneurship is so important, and entrepreneurship is not possible unless there is a very positive, very vibrant ecological system towards entrepreneurship. So that way, this theme of this seminar, theme of this conference is very, very apt, and I congratulate my colleagues that they have identified a very, very effective, very apt topic for discussions for 2 days. And I am sure that not only me, all of you will listen to the entrepreneurs and how they have grown up. At one time, Narayan Murthy was a small entrepreneur, started with 10,000 rupees. Now he has backed some 2,800 crore from the stock market, his entire family. You must have seen 5 days before, right? How rich he is now. So you can also become rich if some of you pursue the entrepreneurship, because the ecological system will be in place, because government is also serious. And government is serious even from the education system. The new education system is going to be in place, where they also require that education system should promote entrepreneurial skill. So I'm sure that during these 2 days, there will be a lot of takeaways for you. You can apply your knowledge, what you are learning here in management, and those who are already the engineers, you can have extra edge. And I wish that it will be very enjoyable for you, and I wish the organizers a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next is the keynote address by Brigadier Ganeshan, Vishisht Seva Medal Coordinator, HoneyBee-AP. Brigadier Bogula Ganeshan is an engineering graduate from Osmania University, Hyderabad. He is also an alumnus of Reputed Management Institute, FMS, Delhi University, from where he graduated MBA with HRD specialization. He served the Indian Army for over 3 decades with distinction in many appointments. For his distinguished services, Brigadier Ganeshan was awarded Vishisht Seva Medal in 2005. Brigadier Ganeshan, subsequent to his retirement from Army, formed the voluntary group HoneyBee-AP at Hyderabad to carry the mission of National Innovation Foundation in AP. HoneyBee-AP scouts the grassroots innovators and endeavors to bring their hidden creative innovations into limelight for the benefit of society at large. He is a member of the National Regional Advisory Council. Sir, we welcome you to address the gathering.
Distinguished chief guests, faculty, and my dear young friends. I'm not very sure what does keynote mean, but the word key impresses me, so it opens the lock of the discussions for the next 2 days. So I must set an agenda or give some thoughts to you. Perhaps you would discuss the next 2 days in addition to what other participants and the speakers will do. With that understanding, let me go ahead. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean only becoming rich. Let me ask you a few questions. I hope you are interactive. Will you be interactive or you want to just listen? Okay. Yeah. How many want to be rich? Raise hands. Don't feel shame. Fantastic. Down. How many want to be happy? Raise hands. Down. How many rich people are happy? Yes, say raise hands. Right. Next question. How many happy people are rich? Raise hands. I'm confused. So I hope the message is driven back home. I hope you have seen how many people raise hands for all the questions. That happiness and rich is not be synonymous, do not go together, but they are intertwined. That intermingle, but they're not totally dependent on each other. They are not linearly or university also is not late. Keep this in mind, fundamentals, perhaps you would be a better person for yourself and for society. Now, you all young people coming up and so much to live for in the society and so much aspirations you have. You have dreams in your eyes, you have dreams in the night. And your people, your parents have dreams about you. So much to do. And the society has dreams about you. Society has aspirations about you. They hope that when you grow up, when you start delivering, you do something better than what they're living today. You do something more, something better, something happier, something comfortable. You should not think only about your aspirations. You must also think of aspirations of society, for which you're living, and because of them you're living. So there should be convergence of your aspirations, your needs, your ambitions along society aspirations. And the convergence takes place at any level, I think the society becomes happier. And how do you make the convergence? I don't think anybody teaches you. In schools and colleges, it comes from the role models. And unfortunately, we have few role models in this country. We still have Vignana, Mahatma Gandhi, but last 50, 60 years, we haven't made big role models, but I'm sure they are there exceptionals. So role models teach you how to converge your individual aspirations to national aspirations. Coming from I to we. Coming to I to we is the key. It is a keynote address you want, take this as a key for next today discussions. I to we. Now, when we talk about entrepreneurship, is it something new? It has come in industrial world, or is it there before that? Is something there existing? The only thing is the word is coined. I don't know what we call entrepreneurship in Sanskrit or some other language. I'm not good at languages, but it was there all over. The trading was taking place all those years, and people took risks. Merchandise was there. They have taken risks and lost something. People lost ships. We hear stories about it. Entrepreneurship existing. The point was, what were the models used that time in our country for entrepreneurship? And what are the models today we are bringing from Western countries for industrialized world? Are they good enough? Or they need to change the models, customize the models? Is another issue. Why do you have to customize the models? You want to include the entire society into the entrepreneurship benefits. The benefits come from entrepreneurship, then you have developed customized models. But if you use the Western models, in my understanding, is that it helps the industry and the government. It may not include everybody. They may not have been designed to take care of the massive human beings like we have in India. They don't have so many people. So consider this, the models what we use today with entrepreneurship are relevant or can be made more effective and customized to our context. Then comes the ethics. I don't know what ethics mean. I've been searching the correct words for ethics. So recently one farmer told me a story. In one of the places in Andhra Pradesh, while on our walks, Sudhayatra we call it. He says, my son was driving two bullocks, doing something in the field, and this farmer was doing work there. And after they were supposed to go straight, at some point, one bullock turned right. And he was unhappy, the boy was leading the bullocks, and he hit the bullock. But come down. So the farmer was watching, he was not happy with it, the father. He said, why did you hit the bullock? He says, it deviated from the path. He said, just stop the plow, go there and see why the bullock deviated from the path. So the boy walked up to the place and saw, he found some eggs there. Some eggs is a potential life. The animal saw the eggs and didn't want eggs to be destroyed, and he heard them, so it took a deviation. This is ethics. Live and let live. In my 66 years of life, I feel the story of ethics, because ethics come from this example, which is totally natural. if you can understand, imbibe this perhaps, animals don't hurt. Animals practice coexistence. Except in the food chain, they don't hurt other animals. And animals also have similar relationships. When you see a bird or a buffalo going, a crane goes after that. You see any one of you? A crane always sits on it or the side, they always go together. It is similar relationship. So many are there. What is similar relationship for human being? Whom do we walk with? Who is our coexistence? Or who is our friend whom we don't hurt? These are the questions which come up for make our life better. I'll talk about sensitivities. The third issue I want to about sensitivities. If people are expecting something from you, so you have to be sensitive to their needs, unmet needs. You have to be sensitive to the unmet needs. If you understand unmet needs of the people at large, then you will be able to do something about it with your abilities, skills based by various institutions like this college, and then try to fill that, reduce the pain for the people whose unmet needs are troubling them. So you achieve a good impact. So sensitivities come by identifying the unmet needs. And how to identify unmet needs? You have to go there. Jack Welch always says deep dive, the word. He uses the word deep dive. In fact, in army we did a lot of deep dive, not in the water, into the problem. So you have to walk into the people for whom you are working or you intend to work, stay with them, learn from them, and understand and observe their unmet needs. When you understand the need, comprehend it better, then you develop samvedana. And samvedana is feeling the pain of others the way they feel it. When you feel the pain, their pain the way they feel it, then you find a solution to remove the complete pain. Because you won't sleep, you won't sit quiet till the complete pain is removed. So your solution is more appropriate, more effective, more meaningful. Your efforts are very useful to society. And that way, I think if sensitivity is built up by you, by scouting the problem, scouting the unmet needs, and meet their needs by reducing the pain completely to the maximum extent, then sensitivity is built up. Inclusiveness comes in. Then comes the last point I want to say is about, last point but longer point. I'm not concluding yet. We have amazing entrepreneurial system. I'll give some examples whom I met in the villages, the rural areas, and how their entrepreneurs is. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean only dealing with money-making products. I think what I say, hope it is entrepreneurship, otherwise you can tell me it's not. There's the farmer who was making jaggery from sugarcane. And sugarcane, once it's done, you make the juice and boil it, jaggery comes. You all know about it. But jaggery was coming dark. When the color is dark, you won't get the good amount, you won't get a good market. So what do we do? So the scientists say that you add some sodium bicarbonate, or like wash with soap. That's simple, they say it in a different language. But he was not happy to do that because he was sensitive to his customers and real customers. He didn't want to give us something wrong. So he learned, talked about, worked hard, and he found a method of doing it without hurting anybody. He could manage to get the jaggery a better color. And what did he do? He grew bendakai, ladyfinger, in the fields, in between the sugarcane. A month before the sugarcane was supposed to be cut. So the crop has come up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. Then it takes away that, and the stems remain there, the dried stems of the ladyfinger. And when he cuts the sugarcane, he also cuts the stems of the ladyfinger and crushes both of them together. And the jaggery was pinkish. Do you call it entrepreneurship? Yes or no? You are feeble. You're not sure. Think about it. He was sensitive to the customer's needs and gave it with all ethics. And he was loyal to the customer, not to do wrong things by using chemicals. So I think it's ethical entrepreneurship. And farmers live for us, not for them. And you know why? That they can live without us, we can't live without them. Keep this in mind, my statement. They can live without us, we can't live without them. So they are the biggest entrepreneurs feeding millions and billions of the people in the world, on the earth. Millions and billions of people. They understand the basics. And then I think you will build yourself better. Now there's one more example. There's a boy in Kannur district, Venkatakrishnan. This boy was working in a chemical factory, was making pesticides and other things for the farmers. He was ITI, electrical engineering. So he was part of the factory. He's seeing the things, how they're happening, and he also understood over a period of time, a couple of months, that how harmful those chemicals used by them are for the farmers and for the food, which is grown by them and comes back to us. So this poor boy, Venkatakrishnan, was unhappy and left the job. He didn't want to be part of unethical and wrongful activity which hurts the humankind, not only humankind, entire ecosystem. So he left the job. Look at this courage. Then he became an entrepreneur. And what did he do? He said, is there alternative? Or we have to do only this kind of things? So since he was a villager and a farmer, so he went around and tried to find out some traditional knowledge, some asking elders people, all kinds of the things they did. And he developed in the next 2 years. He took sabbatical or whatever we call it, gap year. He didn't do any job. He only researched on this. He had 1.5 acres, he was living on that. And he made a beautiful organic, totally local materials made growth promoter. Also brings some immunity in the plants when we spring to that. It's known as tulsi. It's named it tulsi. Now what does he use? He uses cow urine. He uses coconut water. He uses some toddy, early morning toddy. Everything like that, what available in the village. Nothing from outside, no chemicals. Now what he did when he started making a small 3 cents land, he took it outside the village, he and his wife started making this. And he got a very good bottle, a very good label. And everything is done by husband and wife. And the people whose cow urine was going waste, he was giving money to them now. The villagers, lots of cows there, but nobody is getting money for the cow urine. He started giving money to the people for the waste it was for them, but for him it's a useful things. So this is he's giving something which people don't have. Then he made a very excellent substance. When the farmers used it, they found growth promotion plants are very good, and they started buying from him. Then, when I visited his factory in the Velgodu village, I spent half an hour, came back, and I see something is missing in this factory, this small shed he has. I looked back, I said, Krishna, do you have electricity? He said, I don't need it, sir. Can you think of an enterprise of electricity? He said, I don't need it. He uses the only whatever is available, he said. And what his turnover is 1 lakh per month, not turnover, net profit is 1 lakh per month. How many of you can get this with no electricity? And making profit to the cow growers in the village who are actually not expecting money. Then farmers who are growing with no side effects. Ecosystem is positive, he is making money. I think it's an outstanding example of social entrepreneurship, where win-win-win-win situation. Can we emulate certain things? It's an amazing case studies. Then, like someone said, is it supposed to be a best practice we do? We bring the best practices and practice it, or we go for the next practice? Next practice is innovation. Best practice is only capturing wisdom, choice and choice. You have to create, you're an entrepreneur, start the next practice. Start from entrepreneurship in thinking, innovation. And that's the way I think we move ahead. There was a boy, Mahipal Chari, in Warangal district. Narega, you know what is Narega? Employment Skill Rural Guarantee Scheme. When this scheme came, people did not know what kind of problems it causes to small farmers. And all small farmers in the village were hurt because the labor was not easily available to them. Firstly, non-availability. Secondly, it was costly to be available. Either way, they were hurt. Small farmers. And in our country, my dear friends, 90% are holding less than 2 hectares. 90% farmers. So most of them come under, more than 50% come under small farmers. And for all of them, narrative affected badly because of the labor. Now this has a silver line. People started creative solutions to overcome this particular adversity. And one of them is Mahipal. He made a weeder cultivator in a cotton crop, any crop, 80 inches in frontage. And on his own, he made it with a 4 horsepower engine. And that he was giving it to farmers and very cheap cost, 1/3 of the cost which the market gives. Honda gives about 90,000 and he gives about 25-26,000. But that's not the one I want to say. He understands that nature is customized, technology is standardized. So there's a gap. How do you fill the gap? If you don't fill the gap, the productivity of each technology will be varying by various users who are geographically spread. So this gap has to be filled in only when you make customized. So what this boy do, when somebody makes an order for him, he says, I won't give you a ready-made machine, come to my village. And the farmer goes to his village, he makes him drive the one he has in the field, in the Patkal village nearby. And while he's driving, the farmer knows that this land is not same as my land, and this kind of a crop I don't use it. So he gives his own need to Mahipal while he's trying out the existing model. And Mahipal incorporates all of them into it, and it delivers him which is most appropriate to that farmer. Tell me one product in the world which does something like this. You all know. What is the product? Something customized made? Sorry? Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce car is never made in advance. You only made after you order customized car, and Mahipal makes customized cars like Rolls-Royce to the farmers. So everybody's effectiveness is very high. So my dear friends, sensitivity to the extent of keeping high effectiveness to all the customers you have is also important for you to run the business. Now, I would like to give another example before I close it. Is Muniratnam Naidu is a farmer. You know, all the entrepreneurship, I hope you agree, otherwise think about it. Muniratnam Naidu is a farmer in Chittoor district. His assets are he, his wife, a borewell, 4 acres of land, and 1 desi cow. I'm sure it's not very easy for you to understand all this, but I want to sensitize you to the system which is existing 60% in society besides all the IT and engineering you have. He, his wife, a borewell, a 4-acre land, and a desi cow. He has 4 acres land, he makes into 0.5 acres, 3.5 acres, 2 parts. In 0.5 acres, he grows vegetables. And in this 0.5, he makes some vegetables, fresh vegetables, other half he makes into hard variety like tomato, onions, or potato, or carrot. Now the vegetables which he grows, the labor of 0.5 acres is done by husband and wife. Pesticides and fertilizers he gets from the cow and the other around. Labor is free and the fertilizer input is free for him. Then he does the water he gets in Andhra Pradesh, it is free today. It may be costly, but water cost he has to bear. And seeds he does once in 3 years he buys. So the input cost on the seeds is 1/3. So you see the whole input cost on the half acre is least. So the input is less, you're not worried about output cost. And then he gets about 200 rupees per day for the fresh vegetables. That's the minimum he gets. Now in the hard variety, the money comes, he puts it in the bank. And when he goes for 3.5 acres, for the labor of 3.5 acres, he uses his hard variety money. What he kept in the bank, he uses there, so that labor becomes free for him. And similarly, the pesticide and all he gets from the cow. Now he all the way last to the bank, 3.5 lakhs net comes from 3.5 acres every year. And with input costs are almost closer to zero, tending to zero. And now tell me, with 3.5 lakhs net cash coming every year, is it difficult for anybody to bring up 1 or 2 children in the village? No. Now that is the entrepreneurship of a farmer to make small farm viable. by reducing the input cost. I call it entrepreneurship, if you permit. This ethics, there is ingenuity, the innovation, the utilization of the system properly, all resources properly utilized. Now that kind of entrepreneurship may give you some idea, and entrepreneurship is not white collar job always. If you think entrepreneurship is white collar, you will be sadly mistaken. You will only IT job perhaps. But entrepreneurship spreading across the sectors, engineering, agriculture, farm, fishery, all over, everywhere you do it, handlooms, it is a blue collar job. Till you become a CEO with the share market coming up like that. So when you want to start entrepreneurship, think about being a blue collar guy. There is a very good objective is to bring in stakeholders to develop a policy for a seminar. Who are the stakeholders in entrepreneurship? You, the institute, the management, the government, the industry, and any more? Any more? Sorry? What did you say? That's the government side. One more tell me. I'm missing one. Customers, okay, customers fine. Yeah. You forgot the parents. You heard the example of your director. Parents are a big stakeholders in the entrepreneurship. At least till you take up, even the later. So the entrepreneurs, in my understanding, are from entrepreneurs when you want to take up. Customers come in later, but they can be included. Government, management, faculty, students, and parents. If they are the stakeholders, then if you don't converge their thoughts to one in terms of respective roles, then entrepreneurship will not be fully successful in this country and will not be an ecosystem as good as that. So there is a need for a horizontal dialogue between the stakeholders. There is a vertical dialogue between the stakeholders. All of them, then only I think that entrepreneurship will flourish in this country the way our Prime Minister's dream of Made in India and whatnot. So I request people here who are organizing the session today, tomorrow, and you involve all the stakeholders and ask them that don't think about you, think about other stakeholders. What does it mean? We are fortunate to conduct listening meets. We conduct listening meets in about 25 colleges, 2013. In various colleges, we talk to stakeholders separately, parents separately, students separately, faculty separately. We call it listening meets. We only listen. An amazing input came. And ultimately, what we found out that there is no coordination between all stakeholders. I give an example of Y2K. You know, we did extremely well in the late 90s because there was a convergence of thoughts in the parents, in the industry, in the government, everywhere. That's why we Y2K, 2000, whole Andhra Pradesh, all over the country, has made amazing success. Because the convergence of thoughts of stakeholders, maybe by default, might happen. If it happened by default, that then it's maybe deliberately by discussion. And I'm sure entrepreneurship come in because when the boy or girl gets out of the college, they only give one choice: job. But whereas all parents who want to give more than one choice, right from the childhood, the same. But to only give one choice, we have to make it more than one by making entrepreneurship very, very comfortable to the parents and other stakeholders. How do we do this challenge for us? Lastly, the CSR now with the kind of Amendment to Company Act is almost 24,000 crores, I believe, is yearly commitment from CSR. It's a huge opportunity for the country, for you, for everybody. Huge opportunity. Now, can we use this money for promoting entrepreneurship? And why not? How can you use this huge chunk of our resources for this? It's almost there. They have to spend almost some percent, 80% will spend, will spend. I have a suggestion, please consider it now or later in the session. Now, what is CSR? Is meeting the society need. They have to meet society need as CSR. And society need, there are products. The products from the industry, the products from the grassroots innovator, the products from the industry. So you have a need, you have a product. Both are available. You need someone to deliver that. And for that, you have the money also. CSR is available. So very comfortable place in the case, the product is available, the customer is available, the money is available. You need someone to do the exhibit this. Let that be done by young entrepreneurs. Young entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs. And this will be, they will be given profit, 10-20% profit, so there is no risk. You are given the resources, you are given the product, you are given the market, you are asked to maintain quality, and you are given profits or some remuneration for this or there is no risk. I said 2 years to deliver that on the job training, not theory or listening to people, on the job training, and you deliver that. So at least 22,000 crores, 1 crore or 5 crores, one entrepreneur, 500 entrepreneurs came each year, and in about 10 years, we have 50,000 entrepreneurs. And they will learn the nuances on the job. Today, we don't have any training for giving on the job. And that way, without risk, you learn it. And maybe we develop a huge ecosystem. And out of that 50,000, even 10-20% become permanent entrepreneurs. After that, the country will flourish and have great inclusive society. So at closing, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and I also complimented the management and the director that for entrepreneurship seminar, for inauguration, we have no entrepreneurs. We both are not entrepreneurs. Me and madam. But I think as director very aptly put it, I want to give our children a different perspective of entrepreneurship. That's why it's taken a few out of the box. I compliment all of you for this. Thank you for calling. And finally, I would like to say is that many final years come, scout the problems, unmet needs, develop solutions and spread them, sense the impact, and celebrate your entrepreneurship. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much, sir. The examples quoted were very inspiring. Now we have the chief guest of this inaugural session, Dr. V.Rukmini to address the gathering. Dr. V.Rukmini, the week Woman of the Year 2014, is a social and rural development activist working with women at many levels of Indian society, but particularly with the poor, underprivileged, and vulnerable. She is currently executive director of the Center for World Solidarity and on the boards of Deccan Development Society and Gramya, which she founded. She began her career at the NLI, National Labour Institute, and PECCE, Public Enterprise Center for Continuing Education, in Delhi, working on organization change in public enterprises from the mid-70s to early 1980s. And in the 1990s, she moved back to Hyderabad, where she began to work with DDS and Gramya. Gramya has exposed the sale of girl babies and trafficking for adoption in Andhra Pradesh. Her work with CWS involves collaboration and support for more than 300 NGO voluntary organizations with a focus on Dalit, minority, and gender rights. CWS has a focus on human rights, sustainable agricultural development, and gender justice. Ma'am, we welcome you to address the gathering.
Friends, young friends, faculty members, I'm very happy to be here. When I received the call asking me to come today, my question was why me? Because I don't belong to your world being the management world. But at the same time, I must say that I have a son working in New Jersey, and he is a supply chain expert, studied in Chicago University. So in a way, I felt I wanted to connect with young people and to talk about my own life experiences.
Sir, lights.
Before I go on to talk about my own experiences, I thought I should share with you the lives of social entrepreneurs in our country. Because right now you heard about what are the different aspects of entrepreneurship, building businesses, etc. But entrepreneurship, to my mind, essentially means cutting through the problem and going ahead with what you want to do. Because I saw many of you raising your hand, everyone wants to be happy. Yes, I also want to be happy. But we are not always happy in our lives. Sometimes we are very unhappy. You will have a failure tomorrow when you take over business. What does that mean? Does that mean we give up? No, definitely not. Are you going to give up if you have your first failure? That doesn't make you an entrepreneur, does it? So we have to understand that entrepreneurship, to my mind, means you will be happy sometimes, very, very happy sometimes when you make your millions. You might be very unhappy when you lose some money. But essentially, it's about life. It's about taking your own personal ideas forward. It is your effort to change the world. Whether you do it in business, whether you do it in family, whether you do it in life, it is really related to what you want to do in life and cutting through the bullshit, pardon the language, and really moving forward. I'm going to talk, because I'm a women's rights activist, I thought I will share with you a few lives of women activists who are not just talking about women, but women who are changing our country and through that process are also changing the world. So the one person I'm sure many of you recognize, Medha Patkar. Do you all recognize? Yes. What has she done? Who was she? Does anybody know about her background? She was a teacher. She was a professor at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She could have had a cushy, comfortable life teaching and retiring and getting a good pension. But she saw that something was wrong and the Narmada river was being dammed, destroying the environment and destroying millions of lives. So she has struggled and fought against big dams. Though the dam in India is, the Narmada dam is built and many more will be built, but she has changed the discourse about dams, about how you need to care. What the Brigadier Ganeshan mentioned, the ethics of building big dams and how we need to interact with our own people, with our own communities. Because friends, today India is no longer a poor country. Years ago, we used to go around, when I was a development worker, I done a lot of fundraising internationally, going to England, to church groups and saying we are a poor country, we need support. Today, I don't have the face to go and say, to tell anybody we are a poor country. We are not. We are a rich country with many poor people. So your entrepreneurship should address how will you make wealth for yourself and for others in the country. The next person I want to talk about is Aruna Roy. Have you heard her name? How many of you have heard of Aruna Roy? Yes, very few. Mind you, as entrepreneurs, I think it's very important that you are aware about the world around us. Because if we don't know what is happening around us, we will not be able to reach out for what we want. Aruna Roy was an IAS officer, and she's the person who was instrumental in bringing the National Rural Employment Guarantee Program into the country. As an IAS officer, she would have done some good, some benefits, but she decided she didn't want that cushy life. She would do something different, and she became a national advisor to the government, and through her and her colleagues' effort, it's not just one person, but through a collegial effort, she was able to bring the NREGS into being in the country. And today, the budget for NREGS is 33,000 crores. And it was even more. It was almost 50,000 crores. The current government has cut it down. In spite of that, 33,000 crores going out to the poorest of the poor. Is there anything more entrepreneurial than that? So we find that in our country, there are many entrepreneurs, and women entrepreneurs have really shown their lead in terms of social change. The next person I want to talk about is Vandana Shiva. How many of you have heard about Vandana Shiva? Only one? Environment. Today's discourse is about entrepreneurship and environment, isn't it? You're looking at creating an environment for entrepreneurship, but to my mind, that environment is not only a regulatory environment, it should not be only making more entrepreneurs possible, but today entrepreneurs can really take off if they are doing environmental businesses. businesses which will restore the environment to a better condition than it is today. Millions of dollars are being made through all kinds of businesses which are making the environment better and improved than it is today. Vandana Shiva, by the way, is a physicist. She is a physicist, but as an entrepreneur, she has shifted. She works on biotechnology and on actually pushing the government to improve the regulation so that we are not inundated with genetically modified seeds, but provide a forum for farmers to have their own fields. The next person I want to talk about is Arundhati Roy. Have you heard of Arundhati Roy? Yes. What is the context in which you have heard about her? Pardon? Yes. She is an author. She is actually a writer who was writing fiction. How many of you have read her book, The God of Small Things? Yes. But she also has been an entrepreneur. She has not stuck to only writing fiction. The first book she wrote, she won the Booker Prize. And after that, she has actually moved to helping rural communities and helping them to raise their voices so that we can have better regulation and better possibilities for the poor. She has been a supporter of the Narmada Bachao Andolan and many other movements across the world. She has been a great critic of the American government and how they are really imposing their views on the rest of the world. This is Kalpana Mehta. She is an aeronautical engineer. Are there any in this room? Any aeronautical engineers in this room? No? No. She is an aeronautical engineer, went on to study business management, but then now she is a health activist. She decided that in our country, as a woman, when she came back from the United States, nobody was offering her a decent wage. So she felt, I don't want to waste my time in an industry which doesn't appreciate me, and decided to become a health activist and a women's activist. And today she has filed a case along with me and several other friends against the government of India to ensure that women have health rights. As you know, you would have read recently in the newspapers how many women were killed in Chhattisgarh because of forced family planning. Have you read the article? Boys, have you all read the article or did you flip the page? Yes? Are you aware of what I'm talking about? Yeah, 13 women died in a camp post-sterilization. So we, as women activists, have been fighting against these things and we have been asking for better regulation. So she is one of the health activists who is doing that. Now, mind you, these 4 or 5 women I have talked to you about are all highly educated women with PhDs, with educated abroad or in India. Now, I would like to talk about a middle-class woman, Satyarani Chedda. She was a Punjabi, she just passed away recently, a middle-class woman, and her daughter was killed in a dowry demand case. And when her daughter died, rather than allowing herself to be sad and just go under, she became an activist for rights of women and to fight against dowry. So she's one of the best known women activists coming from a middle-class family with no education at all actually. She is hardly literate. But she took the leadership to fight against dowry. She set up a home for dowry victims. So mothers of dowry victims came together and that's an entrepreneurial activity. They came together, they managed to get the money from government, they ran the institution for years and they have transformed the lives of many, many women by doing that. Can you see that picture? The lights there? Can you see it? Yeah? It is an unknown fighter from the Telangana movement. Many of you are from outside the state, I assume, and some of you are from here. I heard a first-hand story from a woman who was in the movement, and she told us how during the armed struggle in Telangana, they didn't want women to come out. They didn't want women to come in the armed struggle and they were telling them to go home. But she decided she would stay with the struggle. And she, because the military was coming, she left her child behind in a Koya hamlet because the baby would cry and it would attract attention. And she's never found her child to this day. She went back to the village, but the Koyas, they moved from Chenchus, they moved moved from place to place and she has not found. But she didn't give up the struggle either. So as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's struggling for social change, you see that women are really struggling and taking it forward without stepping back. And I think a true spirit of entrepreneur would be that you don't step back or step away from your own ideas, whatever they are. The last person I want to talk about is, no, a few more, couple more. This is Basvamma. She's a non-literate woman, very poor woman, and she was a leader in the anti-alcohol struggle. All of you are very young, but you might know that in Telangana, in Andhra Pradesh, there was a huge struggle against illicit alcohol. And she has made millions of lives better by leading that struggle. This lady is from Mr. Ganeshan. She is from Medak district, Chinnanarsamma. Also a Dalit woman, non-literate, but she has taken the challenge to become a videographer. She's a videographer. She documents the stories of farmers and particularly of genetically modified seeds against the fight of BT cotton. And this woman, this Dalit woman, has traveled half the world, whether it's Peru or whether it's London, to put forward her ideas about how small farmers need to be protected. And she, along with a few other friends, with support from a few middle-class people, she has set up a media center and they make development movies and they exhibit them across the world. So she is actually a very, very true entrepreneur who has taken her own life forward and changed the lives of people around her. This is another Narsamma, a young girl who runs an FM radio station. She is a Dalit woman, has been to school, high school, and she is running the show, collecting alternate voices across the region and putting it forward. Lastly, I want to talk about Lakshmama. She is a seed conservator and she has stored 81 varieties of seeds. You know, we are talking about environment, growing the environment for entrepreneurship, and I am talking about the environment also. That today there is a lot of money and business to be created in changing the environment parameters. Whether it's a windmill or whether it's solar energy or whether it is a biogas plant, there are lots and lots of potentials to take up entrepreneurial businesses, which will help us not only to conserve the environment for yourselves, but for your children. So here is a whole range of entrepreneurial activity that I would like to, that I have shared with you. I would like to summarize just a few points from my experience with industry, because I started my work with the National Labour Institute, working with labour management relations, and also working with the Public Enterprises Center for Continuing Education, which was a public sector service organization providing management services to the public sector. My experience of good entrepreneurs or good management practices. One, as you again, I will repeat myself, as young people, I will say pursue your dreams. Whatever your dreams are, in whichever direction they take you, pursue your dreams. Secondly, wherever there have been successful enterprises, we find that it is collective leadership. It may be you're an entrepreneur and you have started something, but do not think you alone can do everything. None of us can. Whatever achievements we have, whether these women I have showcased or myself or any of you, collective leadership has been the hallmark of successful enterprises. And allow individual leadership to develop. Because sometimes all of us have a tendency to write off people. She's illiterate, doesn't know anything. You get many examples of farmers who are changing the world. Or ye aise hi hai, aise hi bolta hai, pagal hai, or somebody is a Dalit. We have social bad ideologies which all of us carry in this room. So, wo aisa hai, waisa hai. But I have seen people who are nobodies, I put that in a quotation, actually coming forward and making huge changes. So if you are an entrepreneur, you employ 10 people, please make sure that you give them an opportunity to grow and develop and take forward their own ideas and grow your own business too. Like Mr. Kamal was just sharing with us. It was the workers who've grown the business. So it will happen with you too. two, three other principles of work which I have learned from by being a part of a quality of work-life movement internationally from the 70s. One is no monotonous work for anyone. Please let us create some work which has a lot of variety so that people actually can learn, can enjoy, because the old tradition of having a chain, car manufacturing in a chain or something, other manufacturing in a chain, they are outmoded ideas, and much better results are available when you are providing workstations and work variety. Secondly, some potential for mutual help and support. Very often we find in industry, actually industry is not so bad, but very often in small, even NGOs where I work, there's a lot of competition, ill feeling towards each other, and that never helps an entrepreneur to develop his business. So how do we create a work environment which is friendly, which is ethical, and which will give a minimum livable wage for anyone who is working with you? Because today in India, while many of us are seeking jobs, we need more businesses. It's not enough that all of you go and get a job. You may get a top-notch job. I read in the papers the other day that a young man was offered ₹1 crore. When my son got his first job 20 years ago, he called me and said, "What should I do?" Because the first job offer was $90,000. He said, "What will I do in the future?" I said, "You learn from me, you start reducing your salary in the future." Because, we are, that's exactly what I told you, because we are all thinking that life is one way, the graphs always go one way. But actually, if you want a rich life, the graph need not go one way. It may go one way, but there is a lot of richness you have to add, because as you all put up your hands, money is not happiness. Money is not equated to happiness. Yes, it can make our life very, very comfortable. So my last point would be, whatever workplace you create as entrepreneurs, please make it humanistic, a place where others can go and learn, and where others can also contribute to your business accomplishments. And let me tell you about myself to complete the story. Don't be afraid of failures. I walked out of a bad marriage with 30 rupees in my purse. That was 40 years ago. And I have always done work. I've always worked to earn my living, done some jobs, odd jobs. I've done a lot of consulting work. And I was such a bad character in those days that my own family, many members refused to talk to me because I got a bad name. You all understand that, women do bad things. But today, I have had a very rich life, a very good life. I have done exactly what I wanted to do. And I'm standing here talking to all of you. To me, that's an honor. So, no fear of failure, and there is only one way to take your life forward, and that is with your own two hands. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We just realized to be an entrepreneur is to be happy, bring change everywhere, make wealth for ourselves and others. And ma'am, surely we'll be inspired by these great personalities.
I request Dr. Kamal Ghoshre to give the mementos to our guests.
I invite Professor Sishir to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamal Ghoshre, for placing this theme in the context of a personal experience. How an entire ecosystem comes out of one small problem of one entrepreneur. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brigadier Ganeshan, for giving those awe-inspired examples. Too many times we tend to equate words with certain ambience So entrepreneurship these days is the minute somebody talks about entrepreneurship, I hear bells and whistles singing, the secretary waiting at the door, and a nice AC office, and a lot many people working for me and calling me boss. Need not necessarily be. It is the idea that is more powerful than the ambience. Thank you very much for being here. And thank you very much, Dr. Rukmini, for showing the true spirit of being an entrepreneur. It is not pursuing wealth as it is defined traditionally, but imbibing what Brigadier Ganeshan said. The convergence between personal and societal responsibilities all rolled into one. That should be how an entire business should be thought about. Not what it can do to me, but what I can do with my business for the betterment of society. And in this regard, there are tremendous changes that are happening, and one of them is something called the benefits corporation movement, where entire corporations are getting themselves certified to be this benefits corporation. It is a B in a circle. And that tells the world that their business exists primarily for the societal good, and off of that they make a living by making a few profits. You name very stellar companies like Virgin Atlantic, Patagonia, and others. So there is already a convergence happening. The scale has to be given a momentum, and all young entrepreneurs will benefit by thinking about entrepreneurship as primarily a tool for societal good. Personal gratification and personal riches would be a byproduct. You will never fail if you're working sincerely for a good cause. Thank you very much for those insights. I thank the organizers, all the faculty members. I thank Yamini for running around. I thank everybody in the staff that lent us support. I thank the student volunteers and non-volunteers also, and I thank the accountant for giving some money and I don't know who will sign those vouchers. Now we'll have to do the running around. I thank AICTE for releasing a few grants so this conference can be done. Thank you very much for listening patiently.
We have a break now, and please assemble back by 11:30. 11:30.